What's happening, Sabres fans? Ryan Thomas here, live on the Thomas Take Sports Podcast for another audio episode of the show. The last episode of the show was an audio episode. This version of the show is an audio episode as well. Very busy, as I said, during the last week or so. I've been on vacation, so I haven't had the setup to do the quote-unquote stream that I normally do, where you can visually watch me, and the visual stream that you see is the same content that you listen to. Nonetheless, thank God for Spreaker.com and their ability to allow me to get my voice out there to an audience. This episode will be available on Apple Podcasts as well as Google Podcasts. And of course, my favorite podcast app where I listen to all of my podcasts is Spotify. So you guys will be able to tune into this on all three of those audio platforms. And with that being said, today is a fun day to hop on the show. Wednesday morning, you guys will be listening to this. It's recorded on a Wednesday morning, May 5th, 2021. And the talk of the town, the talk of one Buffalo, New York, is none other than Sabres netminder Michael Hauser, who has put together a stretch of starts that is pretty amazing, shall I say. Pretty amazing. I could say it's amazing, and I think with confidence I can say that it's an amazing two-game stretch here by Michael Hauser. Michael Hauser, a goalie that 28 years old in the National Hockey League, a 28-year-old rookie that, gets thrusted into the net for the Buffalo Sabres. The Sabres have gone from Carter Hutton to Linus Ullmark to Jonas Johansson to Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen to now Michael Hauser being the starting goaltender for the Buffalo Sabres. And you had two back-to-back games, May 3rd, 2 days ago, and then last night, of course, against the New York Islanders. And the Islanders have been one of the better teams in the National Hockey League for the last, I guess you could say, a couple seasons, but slowly and surely, they've had a really good season this year, particularly against the Buffalo Sabres. So Michael Hauser thrust it in. Your expectations are, well, we don't really know much about this guy that's in net for the Buffalo Sabres. We'll see what he does. A 4-2 win on May 3rd. A win for Michael Hauser. 2 goals allowed on 34 shots. A comeback victory on May 3rd. May 4th, last night, Sabres down 3-1 late in the second period, and the Sabres make a comeback and win in a shootout 4-3. Michael Hauser, obviously, with the win, with the game-clinching save in the shootout, of course, he needed 3 saves. He got the 3 saves. But the stat line that really jumps out at you, 45 saves from Michael Hauser last night. He's the talk of the National Hockey League, a guy that no one really knew who he was. If I were to pop in NHL 21, EA Sports NHL 21, Michael Hauser has an overall of 67. So this guy was nowhere near on anyone's radar as far as being a success for the Sabres. Nowhere near it. Okay, and that's what makes this Sabres season somewhat exciting. Glass half full take here. For as bad as this Sabres season has been, there are moments like this that you see the players being competitive. You see the players with a willingness to win. A willingness that you did not see under Ralph Kruger, but a willingness that you do see under Donnie Granato. And granted, they had the interim tag on Donnie Granato. They still have it, of course. But I think we're starting to see this coach and Donnie Granato take that interim tag and slowly peel it off. Slowly peel off that piece of tape that says interim, with interim written on it, to where it just says head coach on the door. And I'm excited about that. I'm excited about that for a lot of reasons. Not only has Michael Hauser stepped up, talked about it on the show in weeks past, Sam Reinhart has had a phenomenal season. Rasmus Dahlin looks like a reinvigorated player. Henry Jokiharju looks like a much better player. Rasmus Ristolainen looks like a much better player. A lot of these guys that were in the doghouse, so to speak, on the WGR 550 Weiner line are now looked at as, man, these guys have put forth a solid, consistent effort. That's really all the Sabres want. That's what the Sabres, that's what the Sabres fans want. We just want to see a consistent, thought-out effort each and every week. And if we see that, we can say to ourselves, okay, well, this is heading in some sort of a direction because we see the willingness to win. But with Ralph Krueger, these guys the players just were not responding to Ralph Krueger, whereas they have been responding to Donnie Granato. Now, what do they have, 15 wins on the season? If I were to pull up the NHL standings right now, they're still ranked as one of the worst teams in the National Hockey League. But they've put forth a much, much better effort in these last, shall I say, 3, 4, 5 weeks. 15, 32, and 7. Obviously, that's an awful record. I'm not questioning that. Only the Anaheim Ducks and the Columbus Blue Jackets, as well as the Vancouver Canucks, have worse records. Buffalo has the worst record out of all those teams. But I feel like there have been pockets of moments in this season for the Sabres where you can say, wow, this is pretty fun. And one of those moments that stands out is this one, with Michael Hauser being the talk of the town. Now, I am inexplicably in the fantasy hockey finals in my fantasy hockey league. And I took Jack Eichel with the first overall selection. The first overall selection, not my first round selection. I was so hyped up for this Sabres season that I thought, hey, I'll take Jack Eichel first overall. He has a good season. He had a real good season last year. It'll be double great to have Jack Eichel on my team performing. Well, that blew up in my face, but I had such a good draft that it didn't even matter. But what I did need this week was a solid goalie that I knew was getting a start because I lost Linus Ullmark as well. I lost Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen as well. If you can't tell the theme of my season, I actually tapped into the Sabres a little bit, dare I say a little bit too much. Okay, a little bit too much. But Michael Hauser was guaranteed to get these starts with Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen out, with Hutton out, who's probably played his last game as a Sabre. I thought, I need the starts. And Michael Hauser has made this fantasy hockey finals, competitive for me in a way that I was just throwing a dart at a dartboard hoping it would hit, and I hit a bullseye. Two starts, 2 wins, over 70-some saves. Incredible. So that's a big part of the opening of today's show, and I think that I really would like to see Donnie Granato stay on. I know that the organization is being rebuilt. They're putting more scouts in the building. They're putting an associate, GM next to Kevin Adams to kind of give that second set of eyes on things and that second opinion. And I like that thought process. I think every well-run organization needs that within the National Hockey League, especially a young one. A team as young as the Sabres are. They're the youngest team in the National Hockey League. For the majority of the season, at least, they have been. So, I like that thought process, and I know that the laundry list, quote-unquote laundry list of coaches that they have more likely than not looked at as the possible next head coach for the Buffalo Sabres. I understand the prestigiousness of that list. There's probably Bruce Boudreau, it's a tongue twister, Bruce Boudreau, as well as John Tortorella and some of these other guys that are veteran NHL coaches that have had the results of winning and losing. They know how to turn a loser into a winner. And I was on board with that train. I was on that train, riding that express train, hopping on the bus, so to speak, in terms of getting one of those viable, established National Hockey League coaches. But now that I have seen these last few weeks with Donnie Granato, and I'm not saying that the Sabres are lighting the world on fire, but this team is responding to this coach. And they haven't responded to any coach in the last 10 years. whether it was even Lindy Ruff in the tail end of things, Ron Rolston, Ted Nolan, Dan Bilesma, Phil Housley, Ralph Kruger. 6 or 7 different head coaches this team has had, and Donnie Granato seems to be the only one that has been able to generate enough of a response that is a rewarding, entertaining response in terms of what the Sabres are giving back to their fans. And let's face it, there is no fan base in professional sports across the NHL or the NFL that deserves a better product than the city of Buffalo. The Bills are bringing it. The Bills provided it. They went to the AFC Championship game. They were 1 game away from a Super Bowl berth for the first time in 25, 26 years. First time in 25 years they hosted a home playoff game. First time in 25 years they made it to the AFC Championship game. Whereas the Sabres, the last 10 years, have been one of the worst teams in the NHL, the worst team in the NHL, I could say, with a straight face. And now they're showing, signs of a response. You're going into next season. We got 2 games left. There's not much left here to discuss. And I'll do a season recap, when things kind of are when the dust is somewhat settled here. I'll provide that for sure. But you have 2 games left. We're trying to hang our hat on something this year positive. The thing that I can say is they started the season with the wrong head coach, and they want to end the season with the right head coach for the future. Rather than changing coaches yet again, going through that process, I think I'd like to see this through. Whether it's a season, 2 seasons, I'd like to see this through. And Donnie Granato is a coach that does have a pedigree, not as an NHL head coach, but as a hockey coach. There is far more of a pedigree as a hockey coach with young players within Donnie Granato's resume than there was with Ralph Kruger, than there was with Phil Housley. That I can honestly say with a straight face, and I will not take that take back. I'll give you that take, and you guys can chew on that and agree to disagree or agree with me. But I think Donnie Granato has more experience within his resume coaching young players than Phil Housley or Ralph Kruger. And I think we're seeing that. I think that fusion of coaching that he's providing to the youthful players on this team is something to be seen. Guys like Sam Reinhart, I've listened to WGR here and there. I don't listen to them a whole lot. But, I listened to them a little bit, and, they were calling for his head. They didn't want him here. They didn't want Sam Reinhart. They haven't wanted Ristolainen here probably since he got here, okay? Zemgus Girgensons, why did he get a 3-year deal? He hasn't played a minute of ice time in a National Hockey League game this season, but you lose a player like that, you lose that grit that is needed on every NHL hockey team, regardless of the era that we're playing in right now and the era that we're talking about. Each team needs that guy that can smash, and Zemgus Girgensons is one of those guys. Rasmus Ristolainen, you take him off this Buffalo Sabres defensive unit, who do you have on this defense to replace him with, number one, that can mash as well as Ristolainen can? There isn't anyone out there on this team currently. Could they replace him in free agency? Of course. Could they replace him in the draft? Owen Power, maybe. But I think that the Sabres team has been fun to watch these last few weeks under Donnie Granato, and I do want to see this through. That's the silver lining, I think, of this season, is seeing this through, seeing what Donnie Granato can bring to the table long-term, at least in the next 2-3 years. Give him 2-3 years, we'll see where we're at. Or do they keep him on the staff, reward him with the job that he has done by giving him an assistant head coach position, saying, hey, thank you for what you've done, but we don't think you're quite the head coach, the ready-made head coach yet. So we want you on the staff, but we are going to have you under, a Bruce Boudreau or a John Tortorella or someone like that. I wouldn't be against that idea either. Kind of a halfway, median that we would reach with down in Granato, and I think that that's a safer, route to go rather than losing down in Granato in general. I don't want to lose him at all. I want him on the staff. So that's my take on that. Breaking news as well out of the Buffalo Bisons. The Buffalo Bisons announced that the Toronto Blue Jays will be playing home games at Salem Field in downtown Buffalo as of June 1st. June 1st is the date that every Buffalonian can circle on their calendar as to when the Toronto Blue Jays will be playing their home games, their home Major League Baseball games once again in Buffalo, New York. I am extremely excited about that because I'm heading to my second vaccination today. I know a lot of people that are vaccinated. We're getting the vaccine out there. It's getting around. The percentage is going up in this country, in the United States, as far as people that are vaccinated. I would highly encourage it. I know people take that as a political statement. I don't know why, but people wanted the vaccine, and now people are saying they don't want to get the vaccine. I don't really understand that, but it's neither here nor there. I just hope that we get back to some normalcy soon, and my dream can possibly come true. I want my dream to come true. With this news that the Buffalo Bisons are playing host to the Toronto Blue Jays once again as of June 1st, Major League Baseball games back in Buffalo. If there is any silver lining in this terrible pandemic, it is that my dream of watching a Major League Baseball game in Buffalo with the Toronto Blue Jays playing maybe even my Boston Red Sox, that would be a dream come true for me. It would bring a tear to my eye to watch a Major League Baseball game in Buffalo, New York. Toronto could be playing anybody, and I'll go watch it. I'll go see it. The tickets could be $200 for nosebleeds, and I'd go see it. That's a once-in-a-lifetime event that, dare I say, should have been a part of my life for the last 29 years. I feel like if any city could support a Major League Baseball team that doesn't have one, it would be Buffalo. I've always said that. I'll always say it from now on. I've said it the last 5 years since I started the show. I'll say it until the day I die, that the city of Buffalo could support a Major League Baseball team if given the opportunity. If we were given the opportunity in the late 80s, Salem Field was designed to have Major League fans, to have three decks, but that opportunity came and went, as have many in this city. And, this opportunity for us to see the Toronto Blue Jays, who are a very good team, playing Major League Baseball games in Buffalo. What a treat that will be for this city, and I'm extremely excited for it. As well, I put out my AFC East 2021 NFL Draft grades, grading the Buffalo Bills, the Miami Dolphins, the New York Jets, as well as the New England Patriots. Which team did I have with the best draft? Which team did I have with the worst draft? Now, best, worst, it all depends on where these teams are. Some of these teams, in the case of the Dolphins and the Jets, they had multiple first-round draft choices. But who had the best draft? Who had the worst draft? Tune in, check that out. Each division within the National Football League, I will be putting out my 2021 NFL draft grades. I went from the AFC East. Now I'm going to be going to the NFC East and talking about the Washington football team, Dallas Cowboys, the Philadelphia Eagles, as well as the New York Giants. Which one of those four teams had the best draft? Tune into that podcast tonight. I will be on live on the Thomas Take Sports Podcast, and you guys can tune into that. As well, stay safe, everybody. We're living in a crazy world still. Feel like the light is at the end of the tunnel here, and we just gotta push through. Keep pushing through, and keep supporting one another. Take care, everybody.